Shocking to you, Gauranga. Chandiki Pandit says, Lalane bahavo dosha, tadane bahavo gunaha. Tasmat putram cha sishyam cha, tadayet natu lalayet. If you pamper the child too much, then the faults will increase. But if you chastise the child, the good qualities will increase. It's very scary, isn't it? That doesn't mean you all chastise children. The point is that he also gives another shloka. Up to age 5, let them do whatever they want. They're very small, right? So let them explore. They're very playful, very innocent, not so developed in their intelligence, and even physically also not very strong, very tender. So let them do what they want. But from 5 to 16 is the age group where one needs training, discipline. All these things will happen from 5 to 16. That is, Kaumara age is past, then Pauganda, then Kaishora. And beyond 15 is Yavana. 16 onwards it's Yavana. So till they reach Yavana, you kind of focus on disciplining them, training them nicely, because at that age, in these 10-11 years, if they don't learn much, then naturally, after they are grown up, with certain value systems, with certain habits and mannerisms, it's difficult to undo them. You can't press Control Z when they enter late teens. Okay, all Control Z can happen when they are very tender only. Okay, so we need to understand the importance of inculcating spiritual values amongst children. So with this little prelude, let us focus more on the practical aspect of it. Before even entering the practicals, we need to discuss a bit of principles. One is whether we are teaching Shastra or anything to the children, imposing will not work as much as inspiring them. We need to inspire them to take to spirituality, not impose them. Hey, sit and chant. It doesn't work like that. Then the child starts seeing chanting as a punishment. Read Bhagavatam. Don't you understand? Prahalad Maharaj side. So if we say that, then they'll think reading Bhagavatam is a punishment. Okay. So we need to gently, intelligently, carefully, diligently inculcate spiritual values and inspire them to take to Shastra nicely and not force them. Another thing that is important is they need to see good examples. When they see parents, teachers, elders, in short, when they see elders practicing bhakti with joy, not as an obligation, not as a duty, not as a force, okay? When they are seeing elders practicing bhakti with joy, they will naturally want to practice with joy, joyfully. So that's very important, that we set a right example. Let me chant with happiness. Let me read Bhagavatam happily. Let me do all the services given to me by spiritual master or the group of Vaishnavas joyfully. So that joyful performance of devotional service by elders will make the children joyfully accept the whole path also. Next point. I'm just giving pointers only before coming to practicals. Another principle is that they learn more by observation and less by hearing. Yes, hearing has its role. We have to speak in front of children, definitely. They will learn by hearing also, but more learning happens through observation. We need to allow them to explore things more. We need to allow them to observe and appreciate and encourage their exploring tendency, adventurous tendency and learning tendency, and keep on appreciating whatever findings they mention to us. Most of the times, whatever they say, we may know already. So we should not suppress them or oppress them. So Mother Yashoda, she saw little Krishna, hardly 2-3-year-old boy, in Damodar Leela. So she came, Krishna came and caught the churning rod. Mother Yashoda was churning the rope. With the churning rope, she was churning buttermilk, and Krishna came and caught the churning rod. He understood. He developed that intelligence to understand that if I catch Mother Yashoda's hand, she will not stop. If I catch her leg, she will not stop. If I catch the rope, it may not stop. If I catch the pot, it may not stop. If I catch the churning rod, churning will stop definitely. So Krishna, being a little kid, he could understand that. So Mother Yashoda appreciated that intelligence, growing intelligence of Krishna. Oh, my child has become so intelligent that he is able to stop my churning, right? So, very rarely kids will surprise you with their intelligence. Okay, because you know more than them. You have seen life more than them. But whatever they are saying with their little intelligence, if we appreciate and encourage them, that will give them a great boost in moving forward, right? So they may not be intellectuals like any of us, right? Sometimes they are more intelligent than us also, no doubt about that. But generally speaking, considering their age and experience and exposure to things, whatever they say, whatever they do, we should encourage them, appreciate them for what they are. Okay, and of course, when there is something wrong in their behavior, we need to mildly correct them and not aggressively correct them. Okay, so this is another point. One more thing is that association. Kids will imbibe a lot of values and a lot of habits by observing other children. Age group matters a lot. So from elders you learn something. For example, you know so many brahmacharis, so they come in contact with Krishna consciousness and they start practicing, they chant. After a few years they expect their parents also to become Krishna conscious, right? So let my parents also come to this path. They naturally desire that, and they try to preach their parents aggressively. Okay, he is in 20s and the parents are in whatever late 40s or early 50s, and he starts preaching. You have to chant the holy names of Krishna. Okay, don't you know you are wasting your human life? They start preaching so much. Whatever they hear from the preachers, they start repeating in front of the parents. Parents will say, "What happened to this fellow? Has he gone crazy or what?" Because although the son is speaking something valid, parents cannot take it because they changed the boy's diaper, right? So what are you speaking about? Speaking to us? So they naturally cannot accept teachings from child. There are very rare instances where parents are accepting teachings from children, like Mother Devahuti accepted teachings from Kapila. Okay. So it's very important that those young devotees who want their parents to practice Krishna consciousness should bring them in contact with devotees of their age group. I know a couple of brahmacharis, they tried to preach to their parents, it didn't work. They just brought their parents in contact with some senior grahastha devotees and they naturally became devotees. Right? It sometimes will work the other way also, but I'm telling general cases. So similarly, the point that I'm trying to make here is age group matters. So children are going to school. In the school, not everyone is a devotee. Fine. So if we create a sangha, that's the whole initiative that we are trying to take. So if we create a sangha of children of similar age group, at the temple, maybe once in a week they meet, twice in a week they meet, or whatever. If they make some good friendships with devotee children, devotional service will become natural to them. But if they have friends who are not very devotionally inclined, and whole day they are spending with them only. Morning they will go to school, evening they will come back from school. Like that, 5 days in a week or 6 days in a week will go. So the most of the time that they are spending is with people who are not in devotional service. How do we expect them to take to bhakti? So we need to create a sangha of same age group for the children to thrive in bhakti, right? So that's important. And now coming to your question of practically how to implement it. Implementation begins with conceiving the idea. So good that we began taking this initiative. We wanted to take this initiative. So, dividing children, the group of children into multiple batches, each batch of more or less similar age group is important. It begins there. You can't just keep a first standard, first grade child and a seventh grade child in the same batch. The story you may narrate may be the same. It may not be practical, but I'm just telling ideal scenario. Okay, so the story may be same story you may speak. Say Prahalad's story you are speaking, or Dhruva's story you are speaking, or some Vritarashtra story you are speaking. But the presentation of the story has to be different. Story is same. Okay, same thing like Bhagavad Subodhini is at one standard, but Bhagavad Pravaha is also same stuff, but in a different style. Tales, Bhagavad Tales is also same, but in a different style. So the presentation matters a lot, which is customized to the age group. So age group matters. So from like an approximate way of dividing kids into multiple batches is up to third standard, first, second, third standard. So that can be one till age 8, 9 till 8. Their thought process is at like one level. From 8 plus to say 12 can be one group. Then 13 plus, they're entering teens. Their thought process is different. Okay. So one practical way of dividing kids into age group, different groups is age is the parameter, or whatever standard is the parameter. Up to third standard, then fourth to seventh, then seventh to 10th. That may be like reasonable division of age groups. For every grade you may not find. Otherwise in each batch you will find 2-3 people only. Right? So this three groups can be practical. I suggested the same thing in Surat school also, other places also. And presentation also can be streamlined nicely. Okay. So division into age groups is one thing. And then as far as presentation is concerned, you can use more visual aids. They want to see and also hear. Just narrating stories one level, but if you show some pictures, that will also help a lot. So therefore colorful books and colorful presentations, that will improve their thought process nicely. One more point is that teacher may know a lot. Teacher may know so many things. But teacher should not be eager to reveal everything that he knows. The teacher should enable the child to speak what she knows or what he knows. Okay. So we should not be focused on content transmission so much. We should just be focused on allowing them to present their understanding and then tweak and correct their understanding. Speak a little bit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to speak, then ask a question. Ask relevant questions that trigger their thoughts. They may give wrong answer, not a problem. Okay, if you give a wrong answer, you don't have to penalize them or punish them. So let them give wrong answer, but then let the thought process begin first. Okay, so we can just do like that. What are the other questions, or if I have not addressed something, you can please mention.
So the other aspects, you very nicely covered the principles and how to go about structuring. We would like some guidance on the kind of stuff of the syllabus which we should teach.
Syllabus. Now, as far as syllabus is concerned, we are planning to teach Shastra to the children, for example. Okay, Shastras, our core Shastras are Gita, Bhagavatam, CC, then what else? Upadeshamrita and all that. In this philosophy, we cannot handle. We cannot handle means children cannot handle. Fine. So we need to keep philosophy on a low key when it comes to children, especially the younger batches. When they are enter teens, 13 plus, they can accept some philosophy. So below 13, below 12, or below 8, forget philosophy. We need to present stories, Krishna stories, or other so many pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam. So present stories with small lessons, one-liner lessons, something on the moral side, something that they can digest. What's the point of feeding rabdi to a child who is only qualified to drink milk? Fine. So no point. They cannot digest. Don't give things that they cannot digest. So, syllabus, you can say, take some stories, selected stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, maybe Mahabharata, something like that. Take stories and then begin with stories and highlight one or two key lessons from each story. That's all. Okay. For the group 1. So group 1 is up to third standard, 4th to 7th, second group, 8th to 10th, third group. That's what we are deciding. Let's address in our discussion, let's consider these 3 groups. Group 1, group 2, group 3. So group 1, only stories. Maybe one-liner lessons. Group 2, stories predominantly with little more emphasis on lessons and application. Group 3, it can be 50-50. Okay. By the time they reach, if a child is growing from first standard to say 7th standard, in these 7 years, he has already become familiar with so many stories. Now we need to trigger their application methods. Let them think in terms of application and presentation. Okay, let them present their understanding there rather than converting the session into teaching. So let's not be didactic. Let's be interactive. Okay, let them ask questions, let them present things, and then more Shravanam should be done by the teacher than the student. Right, as their age increases. Okay, so these are like a general thing. Story, then more story, less philosophy in the beginning stages, more philosophy and less story in the later stages. Okay, syllabus. So syllabus can be, we can begin with Bhagavatam, simpler stories where there is straightforward lesson, fruit vendor story, for example. That is very straightforward, very simple to digest story and a simple lesson. Like that, you select some stories from 10th canto and even earlier cantos also, Dhruva story, Prahlad story. Select some popular stories and highlight only the lessons. And if the story is very long, break the story into smaller sections and give a cliffhanger at the end of a session. Cliffhanger means you understand there is suspense element. Okay, you want to know what's there in the story next, so tomorrow you come or next week you come. Okay, next Friday evening is our class. So create a suspense element. Okay, or you find out what happens next, or you guess what happens next. Ask them to just guess things. So like that. Does it answer the question? Anything more?
What kind of assignments do we give so that they are in touch of some Krishna conscious element throughout the week?
One thing is we need to also keep in mind that their school studies are also important. Okay, school studies are very much important. Sometimes children may show more interest in Krishna conscious studies and they may not do well in their school studies. So as far as homework is concerned, yes, that's good to keep in touch with spirituality, but we need to also take into consideration their school studies. Accordingly, we give load, 15 minutes assignment or 10 minutes assignment. So one option is giving them simple MCQs, okay, where they have to choose which is the right answer. When they're little more grown up, say when they come to group 2, you ask them to write a small paragraph or make some painting. They may not be great artists, they can make some painting. Or you, for the younger group 1, you show picture and ask them to recognize who's there in this picture and speak some qualities about that personality. So like that, if you make it more interactive kind of evaluation, assessment in the classroom, that evaluation also becomes a fun. Exam should not be stress for them. Evaluation is always stress for students, but we need to make the evaluation and assessment as fun in the classes. And as far as homework is concerned, throughout the day, weekly 1 day you are meeting or weekly 2 days you are meeting, Saturday, Sunday. 5 days they are not so much in touch. So 5 days ke liye one assignment could be, assignment can have multiple options. One option could be giving them some task which they execute and present when they come back. Okay, they need to come back and present, not that they themselves will just do it and then close it. So you should be able to do a follow-up with them. So give them a presentation. When the group is small, say only 5 kids are there, 10 kids are there in a group, evaluation becomes easy. When 200 kids are there in the group, MCQ is the only option. Give them a Google form and then they will click and then, okay, these are the scores. So we need to do that kind of thing. But more personal interaction is more effective. So that can be, give them a picture, ask them to describe, write a poem on this picture or write a small story on this picture. Join the dots, or what lesson do you learn from this pastime? You present your understanding, write a small essay, write a paragraph of 100 words or 200 words, or make a PowerPoint. Now kids are very good at making some slides also. Some kids make videos also on the mobile phone. That's for group 2 and group 3. Okay, so depending on the age group, assignments matter. So group 1 ke liye simple assignments, let them speak. Group 2, some execution is there. And group 3, more execution in terms of presenting, in terms of PPT or some making a video, or sharing reflections, all that. Or you give them a story, one paragraph, not paragraph, so 2-3 pages of content. You study, assimilate and extract points and lessons. Okay, reading assignment, reading and reflection, read and reflect assignment. So these are like some options. Make sense? Any other devotees also want to say? Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, you told that how to do the grouping up to 3rd, up to 7th, up to 10th. So, how do we identify and promote them to the next level? Do we keep a particular kid in the same age group for 3 years until they go out of that age group? Or how do we assess the children and how do we promote them to higher levels while
Naturally, their age will promote to the next level. That's one natural progression. Now, you are speaking about two things, depending on how practical it would be for you. One is, till he is say 8 years old, he is in one group. Okay. When he goes into 9, he will go to the second group. Okay. You have 3 sessions going on parallelly in a temple on a weekend program. So you cross 8, you come to this group, then this group, and that group will have their curriculum going on. Second is, you keep on conducting some courses, not specific to that batch, just conduct some courses depending on their age group and their proficiency in the previous level. You just admit there, you have in one group you will have multiple age groups. You understand? Like, you are conducting some courses, level 1 course, level 2 course, level 10 course. You clear level 1 course, you come to level 2. Clear level 2 course, you come to level 3. Okay. So in level 3, you may find a person, a child of age 8 and age 12 also. Okay. Technically, according to our original grouping, these two are not in one group, but they come because of their intellectual growth. So one is according to age, second is according to their intelligence and talent. So which is more practical for you to implement, that you see. Both are valid options. Sometimes in our children online class there is no grouping this system. Anyone can come. We have children as small as 5-6 year old, and we have some 13-14-year-old kids also, right? So because online platform is like that, everyone can attend. So we did that. But there, some children are very sharp. An 80-year-old child can give a very wonderful answer to a question which a 13-year-old kid is unable to give, depending on their exposure to Krishna consciousness, right? So either you stick to one group and keep on cultivating that group of children, you are seeing them grow. That's like one way. Second way is, you conduct just courses. Who is coming in, you are not bothered, right? They come, they go, depending on their intellectual level. That's what online course that we are doing. But when you are sticking to one group, where these kids are there, you are seeing them grow from this level to that level. So that's, you got the point. So there are like two different ways of dealing. Which is most practical, you can see.
Hare Krishna. When the children are small, the memory power is very good as well. So now, in addition to the stories, to what degree we can introduce the shloka recitation and memorization? So that's the one question. I have second question.
Yes. So shloka recitation is very, very enjoyable pleasurable and practical thing to have for kids. So when we are children, we were exposed to so many shlokas. In our school, every day morning for 45 minutes, about 45 minutes we have Gita recitation compulsory. Entire school, some 600-700 kids or more than that, they will sit, they will recite Gita shlokas. And when this Dhanurmas comes in South India, right, somewhere in January, we do something else like Vishnu Sahasranam. When Dasara comes, we used to do Lalita Sahasranam. Okay. Then when Shivaratri, that time Rudra Namakam Chamakam we used to do. Not that we have to do all that now, but what I am sharing what we did in our childhood, right? So Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, then we have Bhagavad Gita is a constant thing. Bhagavad Gita, then Purusha Suktam, Shri Suktam. So we learned all of them as children. So we may not understand much. Children may not understand the meaning and explain the meaning of the Sanskrit shlokas. But the shloka coming from a scripture itself is so purifying. The sound vibration itself is so purifying. So let it register in their memories at least. That what they have registered in their memory can become a practical realization when they grow up. So when I was in 2021, I first read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So then I could understand all the meanings of all the shlokas that I used to recite as a small child. Okay, no one has explained to me in a proper manner. So we need to. It's very beneficial to emphasize shloka recitation. That purifies them. Okay, so some kids are there. They recite shlokas like wind. At our age, it's very difficult to remember things, but at their age, they can remember rhyming. Basically, we should make, whether it is shloka recitation or storytelling or chanting or dancing or kirtan or serving, we should make it like fun for them. It is not a punishment. It is not an imposition. It is fun. It is joy. Let them be eager. Okay. So yes, shloka recitation is very important. You can select some shlokas. For Gita, I just selected 50 shlokas that kids can easily relate. Okay. So you begin with some shloka recitation. Some most selected ones. So in your first group, up to 3rd standard wala, in that group you have this 50 set of shlokas. In these few years I will recite this. So next they will recite another little higher standard shlokas. Then you slowly introduce Bhagavatam shlokas. As far as memorization is concerned, you can have all 700 shlokas recited also for them. Okay. For that the elders should be equipped with the necessary bandwidth to right. Definitely they will surpass us. Okay, no doubt. They will surpass us. At one point they will outgrow mother's lap, outgrow father's lap. So be ready for that. Okay, and we should be happy doing that. So we started learning shloka. For example, elders, parents started learning from when they are 20s or 30s Gita shlokas, and children are learning from when 8 or 6 only. Okay, by the time they become 10-year-old, they have at least 500-600 slokas in their memory. We don't have 50-60 also. That's fine. Then they will teach the younger kids. So equip the next generation nicely. Does it answer the question? Anything
Yes,
more
yes,
you want
sir.
specifically?
Thank you so much. So just one more.
Yeah.
The second part is that when we have these programs at center,
Mm.
what should be the frequency and the duration? Because too often now the school is fully loaded for them. And top of that, duration, because the attention span is coming down as we progress in career. So the frequency of these classes at center level and the duration of that.
Duration ideal would be 45 minutes. Okay, you can go to 1 hour also, that's fine. Depending on the crowd also. Some very young kids, their patience levels are little less. Patience means like they are very active, too much active. You can't just have a didactic presentation for them. If you can engage their action tendencies, you can have 2-hour session also. If you make the whole class as fun-filled, action-packed session, then it can be 2 hours also. They'll look forward to it. Maybe school studies sometimes may be boring. So evening, weekend session is coming up, Gita session is coming up, Bhagavad session is coming up. They look forward for it. You keep on telling stories and make them recite shlokas, encourage them for whatever they are doing. Let them encourage other children. Let them not grow in their envy or jealousy. So all that also we need to take care. Okay. Sometimes one child is learning 10 shlokas in 10 days. Other child is struggling with 1 shloka in 15 days. So naturally there is some jealousy. So the teacher should make sure that every child is encouraged for what he or she is good at. Oh, you are good at drawing, amazing. You are good at singing, amazing. Everything is amazing for them. Whatever they do, you should say that it is good. Otherwise, if you get on get into comparison mode, oh, he's getting 50%, if he is getting 75%, you are only getting 65%. If parents induce unhealthy competitive spirit amongst children and keep on comparing them, they will experience a lot of stress. Okay. Anyways, we are going into another topic, but this is duration. You can keep whatever duration is practical for the teachers and students, but whatever duration you keep, if the whole class is made interesting and engaging to the kids, it works. It could be 1 hour also, it could be half an hour also. It depends on. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So you were mentioning Prabhuji that we should not be giving instructions to people like Bhagavad Gita Padho, Shloka Karo, this and that. So, and our natural tendency as parents is to give instructions. On the other side, Prabhuji, if we have to lure them, if I can use that word that Hindi में कहते हैं ठग के बच्चों को क्योंकि they don't understand philosophy and all. So at what level we should go? For example, the kid can say कि मैं तभी श्लोका पढ़ूंगा जब आप मुझे एक स्मार्ट वॉच खरीद दोगे आपका मैं कभी पढ़ूंगा जब आप मुझे मिठाई की दुकान में मिठाई खिलाओगे सो इज दिस ओके दैट आई गो एंड एंटरटेन एंड एटलीस्ट वो पढ़ पा रहे हैं वरना वो 2 वीक तक पढ़ेंगे ही नहीं सो हाउ वी शुड अप्रोच
It's subjective, Prabhu. And you say instruction, yes, generally instruction is a positive word in certain circles, in certain contexts. But that instruction can be seen as force and imposition and aggression in certain contexts. So what is the nature of the instruction? Instruction itself can be positive, okay, but if it is associated with too much of force, aggression, then it cannot, it's not palatable to kids, right? So generally parents and teachers instruct children, of course, okay, but that should be more an inspiring tone, an encouraging tone, rather than imposing and hard hitting kind of thing. So as far as incentives are concerned, depends on the child's nature. By the way, I don't have so much experience in this. Okay, I never did that, but depends on the child's nature. Maybe you can consult some devotees and specialists in children education. I can even connect you with some devotees also there. But a general principle is that it should be tailor-made and customized to the child's nature. Some children, if you give them, say, one halwa, some laddu, or some toy, they feel very happy and encouraged, and that will make them take to what you want them to take to very easily. But some people, it becomes like a addiction. Okay, when they get a toy, they become happy. That's good. That's fine. But if that toy becomes the only reason for them to study, then there's something wrong, right? You have to keep on giving painkiller to a patient for his survival. It doesn't work for a long time. So you need to give medication also, and the patient should be accepting the medication with due diligence and intelligence and an understanding of the efficacy of the medicine, rather than just no, give me painkiller, I'll manage. It doesn't work for a long time. Similarly, incentives occasionally are fine. Okay, take me to an excursion, take me to this and that, buy me this, buy me that. Once in a while they are fine, but if that becomes the only cause for their committing to studies, there's something wrong. We can deal with that case by consulting those who are more experienced in this field. I don't have much understand. Yes, ma'am, please.
How can we develop skills among the children?
Which skill
Like
depends?
any communication skills or which level we need to, because they are packed with their studies, and suppose they are new to Krishna consciousness, and they are not able to develop, or they are not able to give time. So, but they are eager, and but there is a lot of stress. But still, the association which they were having before, now all of a sudden, like they are coming to this association. Like how to like adjust, like what kind of tips we can give to them, like how we can motivate them to come into the consciousness.
Yeah, as far as other skills, extracurricular activities are concerned, not everyone can learn everything. Some have natural inclination for music, singing, playing, sports, or some hand crafts, arts and crafts. So you need to see their specific skill and encourage them in the direction. Some are naturally artistic, some are very logical, naturally logical. So as they are growing, these personality traits and their svabhava will manifest more and more. So you need to encourage them in the direction. And as far as accommodating their interests in their schedule is concerned, we need to see how much the school facilitates. Sometimes the school also has some opportunities to do all this. I don't have, the question doesn't seem very specific to me.
Actually, like my question is, like if you conduct summer camps, suppose example, if you are conducting summer camps for especially group 3, because that is a like very tricky age. So for that age, what are the particular skills we can develop in that short span of time?
Within one summer camp of 4 days or 7 days or 3 days, we can't have so many skills development. Skill development is an ongoing thing. Okay, it's an ongoing thing. It also depends on what kind of skill that you are talking about. It's an ongoing thing. It has to be in the part of their daily schedule, not the summer camp thing. Summer camp is just for a refreshing and some extra dose of inspiration. Okay. Okay. Anything else? No, I mentioned in the beginning. So when the parents are joyfully chanting, joyfully participating in Harinam or whatever, that will naturally inspire the children to take it up, especially when they're young. When they already entered teens, then bring them in contact with people of their age group. A 13-14-year-old boy or girl will participate in Harinam when other 13-year-old boys or girls are participating, not a 50-year-old father or uncle or parents. Okay, so it becomes more natural for people to take up to any practice along with people of same age group, similar age group. That becomes more natural. That affinity is there. So bring them in contact with people of their age group who are already participating in Harinam. Okay. So
Sometimes we give some spiritual punishment to the children. Like if they do something like you write this many times Maha Mantra or chant extra round. So this is the good way, like probably, or should they understand this as a punishment?
I'm not sure. When we were in BT, when we come late for Mangalarti, we were given punishment. We were in 20s, early 20s. We were given punishment. 54 times of Maha Mantra we have to write and submit. Okay, spiritual punishment, reward. Okay, yeah, that's fine. At our BT level, when we are late 20s, it may be okay. Next time we'll come on time for Mangalarti. But for very younger kids, I'm not sure how it works. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes also. But anything spiritual should not be seen as a punishment to them. Calling it spiritual punishment is a bit, I'm not sure how does it sound. Nityananda Prabhu tells Raghunath Das Goswami, I'm giving you punishment, feed cheda the hit everyone. Right? And they should have some maturity to understand things. When they're very young and you say chanting extra rounds is punishment, whole life they will carry that impression only. Ekadashi chanting extra rounds is punishment. And they should accept chanting as a joyful experience or punishment. So read extra Bhagavatam, punishment for you. Right? So they should, at this age, because everything is new to them, He can't make a spiritual activity as a punishment. If he create that kind of perception or impression in their minds, it becomes difficult for them to take it up. Chanting extra rounds should become very natural as one grows in devotional service. We should not stick to 16. We should grow beyond 16 also. Easier said than done, but I'm saying we should be eager to chant more and more. If that is given as a punishment and is also labeled as a punishment, and if children grow with that impression in the mind, I'm not sure whether it is the right thing to do. Right? Oh, chanting extra rounds is a punishment? Oh my God. So, I don't know. Does it make sense? It may not be. And one more thing, very important thing, sorry, it may be off track. Parents should spend enough quality time with children. Also, I said some time back, parents should joyfully practice bhakti. Seeing them, children will get inspiration. That is valid. But parents should joyfully practice bhakti, not at the cost of neglecting children. Father is joyful, mother is joyful in practicing bhakti, worshipping deities, and a child is suffering there. Child is miserable there. So that doesn't work. Okay. So you should joyfully do your bhakti with them, giving them the necessary attention that they need. So otherwise, like if the mother is spending so much time in cooking Rajbhog only every day, not feeding the child, okay, or the father is engaged so much in book distribution only, not attending to the child, so they will think, okay, bhakti has separated me from my parents. That's the impression with which some children grew in ISKCON. Right? So this Krishna consciousness, this ISKCON, this bhakti has taken my parents away from me. My father is always in temple, my mother is always in temple, and I am in school. When they come back, I don't see them. I see someone else. Okay, I see maid servant, I see Aya, I see caretaker. What are parents doing? They are chanting extra rounds. Ekadashi, 64 rounds they are chanting. So, like what is prescribed as devotional service for a householder and for a renunciant are a little different. Principles remain the same. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam all will remain the same. But a householder's responsibility is also to give sufficient, appropriate amount of time to the family also. Spend sufficient time with them because that is also Vaishnava Seva. Those who are in the family are Vaishnavas. Spending time with them, encouraging them, that is also Vaishnava Seva. Right? We should see it in that spirit. It's not a distraction in devotional service. So children should get quality time from parents. Who asked this question?
Just 1 minute, Rohit. So we have 8 more minutes, and let's stick to the topic that how to teach scripture to children.
This matters, yes.
So you mentioned spending quality time, Prabhu. So practically, so some tips to
That you need to check with some other devotees who are all having children. Some principles only we can share, but you need some practical tips how other devotees manage. You need to ask other parents. Okay, so as I said in the beginning only as a disclaimer, we have a limited scope. Like as a preacher or as a brahmachari, or we may be conducting some children sessions and all. We have a limited scope in understanding all the needs of children. A parent or a mother can understand better, a father can understand better the needs of children than someone who is in saffron sitting in an ashram, right? So we have limited scope. So teaching Shastra, okay, these are some general principles, okay, but we need to ask some other devotees. I can connect with some devotees if you want. Yes, Matas.
Emotionally approaching the kid. My son is in now 12 studies, also 17 years now. Emotionally approach. Sometimes he listens emotionally if I tell him, please do this, like that. If I tell him in commanding, say, do it like this, he's not listening. But always it's not working out emotional also there. So what to do?
I didn't fully get
Emotionally, if I say, please do this, this is for your thing.
Okay.
If I say like that, no, you have to do it, he will not listen. So that also sometimes not working also.
Okay. No, that's what. It all depends on what they are exposed to since childhood. So sometimes parents may come to Krishna consciousness, say in their 30s or 40s. By the time children are in teens. So the parents just found a new path, new spiritual path that is nourishing them. They want to go in this line. By this time, child already grew up with certain values and certain habits, and suddenly accepting this, although intellectually he may understand that it is good for me, suddenly accepting a new process seems little pressure for them, stress for them, right? So we need to allow that time for them to grow. Okay, so we need to keep. I'm not sure. We need to check with some people who are actually handling that. You got the scenario right.
Yes.
So it doesn't become natural. So whatever I said many times so far, whatever principles that I mentioned so far, are mostly when child is being exposed to Krishna consciousness right from beginning of life. Youth preaching, many devotees are doing youth preaching. They are contacting, say, colleges in like engineering colleges or medical colleges, etc. They are already in late 20s. So how to approach them? How to inculcate Krishna consciousness in them? They have a certain approach. Because for them it is the beginning point. 20, 21, 23 is the beginning point of bhakti. But here, age 8 is a beginning point of someone's bhakti. Age 3 is a beginning point for someone's bhakti. Age 13 is a beginning point for someone's bhakti. Right? So, not everyone can do everything. So, sometimes parents may not be able to do it. You need to bring them to, they are already sufficiently grown up teens. You need to bring them to some brahmachari. You need to bring them to some other teens who are also practicing bhakti. So, not everyone will be able to inculcate Krishna consciousness in everyone. Okay? So, what works differs based on the candidates and the situation and the age and experience and background, everything. I hope that makes sense. Anything else?
Prabhu, this question is for age group 2 and 3. Prabhu, there is two kinds of education. One is material and another is spiritual education. Now, for material education, there is a lot of campaign. Now, if you see, there is advertisements going on. So, a kid easily picks up why I have to study, do material education. Because he says for living, for better, now IIT, NEET, all these things. But when I am presenting spiritual education, first question comes to them is like, I'm already jam-packed with these things. Now, what more value can you add so that I should take the scripture? So, how to campaign then the scripture? Yes, this is apart from your material education, because they're in that atmosphere. Most of the time, 90% of the time, market is campaigning, school is campaigning there.
For that, yes, Prabhu. For that, we need to identify their immediate needs. Okay. So you are saying group 3, group 2, like teens, little grown-ups, 10, 11, 12, 13, like that. So we need to identify their needs. They may be experiencing exam stress. They may be experiencing peer pressure. They may be getting influenced by the bad habits of other students. So identify what are their immediate needs and then show how scriptures are solving their needs, addressing those needs. How scriptural wisdom is addressing those needs. Basically, unless people find that scriptures or the process of bhakti relevant, they will not accept it. Is it relevant for me? When you're choosing a phone model, okay, you understand now, is it relevant for me? Sometimes people may have a very good camera. For them, phone camera doesn't need. They already have a better good camera. Fine. So for them, when they're choosing the configuration of a phone, although camera is not a very great megapixel, it doesn't matter to them. For some people, they don't have good camera. Their phone camera is very important for them. So they choose a configuration of phone that has a very good camera, front and back, whatever. Okay. So your choices are based on how relevant is the product for you, for your needs, how it is addressing your needs. Similarly, we need to identify the needs of the children, the younger generation, and try to communicate how the spiritual life addresses those needs. How chanting helps them relieve themselves of stress or anything like that. But like philosophically speaking, it seems like Sakama Bhakti. Okay, Artha, Jignasa, Artharthi, it seems like that initially. But somewhere we need to begin. there is a begin bhakti, even if that kind of background, Krishna will immediately, eventually purify that. If you directly begin with, you have to study Srimad Bhagavatam because it is the cream of all scriptures. That's fine, it's cream. How is it immediately relevant to me? So they will question like that. You need to highlight that part also. The universal relevance of Gita Bhagavatam, we need to highlight that to them. Not that we have to promote Sagama Bhakti. We are promoting Ahaitaki Bhakti only, but trying to make scriptures relevant for them, applicable for them. Does it make sense? Does it answer the question at all?
Hare Krishna. Like, in an age group of 6 to 8, parents may not be linked with spirituality in any which way. They may be sending their children just to fill up the time, right? And children, they get some pointed lessons and they question their parents. Now they are not mature enough that they can override the parents. Parents will override them, and they may not send them to such classes henceforth. So how to kind of?
That's fine. It happens. We try to spread Krishna consciousness to so many people. Only few people can accept. For whatever reason, some people may withdraw at some point. That's bound to happen. You may conduct a preaching program where 1,000 people will come, 100 people may get involved in it. Only 10 people will accept the process. So it's natural. Okay, but if you have some relationship with the parents, you can just go and try to encourage them, do something slowly. But if they are not at all in a mood, we can use our time to someone who can accept it better. Okay. There are two ways. While doing book distribution, you may find one person who is arguing. You spend 1 hour or 2 hours with that person only, and then make him take one book. In that 1 or 2 hours, you can reach to 100 people, where 50 people will take books. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's thank His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. It is our great fortune that Prabhu is here and spending time and teaching us that, giving principles and application that how to teach scriptures to children. So we are very grateful to Prabhu. So thank you very much. So Prabhu also authored one of the books. He has authored 30 books. So one of the book is that Gita Wisdom Tales Bhakti Devotion. It's a very wonderful books. Around 50 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita and related to that stories that Prabhu has composed and compiled a very good book. And this book is available on Om Books International. The title is Gita Wisdom Tales Bhakti Devotion. Those who are interested, write down the title and see that it's a wonderful book that you can have. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll see in the evening at 7 o'clock at Kannamangala with Mukundamala Stotra Part 1. Hare Krishna.